Every night, you lie in bed hoping for rest, but it just doesn't come. You wake up at 2 a.m., then again at 3:30, staring at the ceiling, wondering why you're so exhausted yet unable to sleep. And even when you finally drift off, the morning feels no different. Your body heavy, your mind foggy, your energy gone before the day begins. Most people say, that's just old age. But what if it's not? What if the way you've been taught to sleep is quietly working against you, shortening your life, weakening your memory, and making your body more fragile than it needs to be? Sleep isn't just a nighttime ritual. After 70, it becomes one of the most powerful medicines we have, if used wisely. But too many seniors are following habits that unknowingly rob them of deep, healing rest. In this video, you'll uncover a simple but surprising truth. The exact hour you fall asleep can change everything, from your blood pressure to your brain function. And by the end, I'll share the one bedtime change a 91-year-old doctor swears by, and still practices every single night. So if you've ever wondered why you're still tired even after a full night's sleep, this story might just change how you rest forever. As we grow older, many changes in our bodies become impossible to ignore. Our muscles don't recover as quickly, our appetite shifts, and perhaps most mysteriously of all, our sleep begins to change. Not just in length, but in depth, quality, and rhythm. You may find yourself falling asleep earlier than before, waking up in the middle of the night for no reason, or starting the day feeling unrefreshed, even if you've stayed in bed for 8 hours. This is not your imagination. And no, it's not just part of getting old, in the way most people assume. There are real biological changes happening inside your body that affect the way you sleep. And understanding them can help you take back control of your rest and, in turn, your health. Let's begin with something that often gets overlooked: deep sleep, the kind that truly restores your body and mind. Why deep sleep declines with age? Deep sleep, or what scientists call slow-wave sleep, is the stage when your brain and body go into their most restorative state. During this time, your blood pressure drops, your muscles repair, your brain clears away harmful waste, and your immune system strengthens. It's when healing happens. But here's the catch. As we age, the amount of deep sleep we get declines, sometimes dramatically. By the time you reach your 70s, you may be getting up to 40% less deep sleep than you did in your 40s. Why? One reason lies in the changes in your brain's sleep architecture. The systems that regulate sleep start to wear down with age. It becomes harder for your brain to generate and maintain the long, slow brainwaves needed for deep sleep. This is especially true if you've experienced stress, chronic illness, or poor sleep habits over many years. The result? Your sleep becomes lighter, more fragmented, and less restorative. You may find yourself waking up more frequently in the night, sometimes without even knowing why. And even if you sleep for 8 hours, you might still feel tired during the day because your body didn't spend enough time in the deep stages of sleep. But that's not the only change happening behind the scenes. There's another major player involved, one that most people don't think about until they learn how powerful it really is. The role of melatonin and body clock after 70. Melatonin is a hormone your brain naturally produces in response to darkness. Often called the sleep hormone, melatonin helps regulate your circadian rhythm, your body's internal clock that tells you when to feel sleepy and when to feel alert. In younger adults, melatonin levels rise in the evening, usually around 9 or 10 p.m., helping them feel drowsy and ready for sleep. These levels stay elevated through most of the night and gradually taper off in the early morning hours. But in older adults, this pattern changes significantly. After the age of 70, melatonin production drops to nearly half of what it was in your 20s. And not only is there less melatonin, it also peaks earlier in the evening. Instead of rising at 9 or 10 p.m., your melatonin might start increasing as early as 7 p.m., peaking around 9 p.m. This shift in your internal clock means your body is telling you to go to sleep earlier than it used to. The problem is that most people don't adjust their bedtime. Out of habit or social norms, they continue to stay up late, watching TV, checking their phones, or reading under bright lights. And by the time they finally go to bed at 11 or midnight, their melatonin has already passed its peak, and the natural sleep window has closed. This mismatch between your biology and your behavior leads to difficulty falling asleep, more frequent night wakings, and lighter sleep overall. It's a bit like trying to get on a bus that already left the station. Your body gave you a clear window to rest, but you missed it. How this affects health and longevity. These changes in deep sleep and melatonin aren't just about feeling tired. Over time, poor sleep quality has been linked to high blood pressure, diabetes, cognitive decline, weakened immunity, and even shorter lifespan. In fact, Japanese health insurance data has shown that seniors with sleep disorders live 7 years shorter on average than those who sleep well. 7 years. That could mean missing your grandchild's graduation or the next family wedding. And it doesn't stop there. Lack of deep sleep is one of the leading risk factors for dementia, especially Alzheimer's. That's because during deep sleep, the brain flushes out harmful proteins like beta amyloid, which can build up and interfere with memory and thinking. The takeaway: your body is still capable of good sleep, but only if you work with its new rhythm, not against it. Respecting the shift. A gentle reminder. So many of us resist this change. We cling to the idea that staying up late is a sign of independence or that going to bed at 9 p.m. makes us seem old. But the truth is, listening to your body's signals is not weakness, it's wisdom. As you age, your sleep needs don't disappear, they evolve. And understanding how melatonin works, how deep sleep changes, and how your circadian rhythm shifts is the first step to reclaiming your rest. You don't need more hours in bed. You need the right hours, aligned with your body's natural clock. Mr. Kimura had always been a night owl. Even well into his 70s, he held on to his routine of staying up past midnight, watching late-night shows, reading, or simply sitting in quiet thought. It was a rhythm that once worked for him, but not anymore. At age 79, Mr. Kimura began to feel the toll. Falling asleep became a struggle. He'd lie in bed for over an hour, mind racing, body restless. And when he finally drifted off, the sleep was shallow. He would wake up at 2 a.m., then 4, sometimes more than 5 times each night. Worse, his days were growing heavy. Fatigue followed him like a shadow. His blood pressure crept up, and simple tasks like walking to the corner store became draining. Yet, like many older adults, he assumed this was just the natural decline of age. That's how life goes after 70, he told himself. But something inside him wasn't ready to accept that fate. He didn't want to spend the rest of his years in a fog of tiredness and pills. That's when he came to our clinic, and that's when everything changed. Case study: Mr. Kimura's sleep turnaround. The first thing we looked at wasn't his diet or medications, it was his bedtime. I asked, "What time do you usually go to sleep?" He replied, "Around 12:30 or 1 a.m. That's always been my routine." I gently explained what many seniors don't realize. As we age, our melatonin levels begin to rise earlier in the evening. The body starts preparing for sleep around 7 p.m., and the peak window for natural sleepiness, the golden hour, falls between 9 and 10 p.m. If you try to sleep during that window, I told him, your body will help you. But if you miss it, your sleep hormone drops, and falling asleep becomes an uphill battle. Mr. Kimura agreed to try something radically simple. Move his bedtime to 9:30 p.m., and avoid bright lights and screens after 8 p.m. He was hesitant at first. "Isn't that a bit too early?" he asked. But after some encouragement, he gave it a shot. Within just 1 week, something remarkable happened. Mr. Kimura was not only falling asleep within 15 minutes, he was staying asleep. No more tossing and turning. No more waking up 5 times a night. He began getting 7 hours of deep, restful sleep without the need for sleeping pills. And the change didn't stop there. His blood pressure stabilized, his energy returned, and his mood improved. He even began taking a morning walk at 5 a.m., something he hadn't felt capable of doing in years. With a soft smile, he told me, "I didn't think a simple bedtime could change this much. I feel like myself again." Why 9 to 10 p.m. is the golden sleep time? So, what's so special about this 9 to 10 p.m. window? The answer lies in your circadian rhythm, the natural internal clock that regulates sleep, hormones, digestion, and even mood. For seniors, this rhythm shifts forward. While a younger person's melatonin may rise at 9:30 or 10 p.m., an older adult's melatonin starts rising around 7 p.m. and peaks around 9 p.m. Going to bed during this peak allows the melatonin to work at its strongest, helping you drift into deep, high-quality sleep. But if you wait until 11 or midnight, your melatonin has already started to decline. The body is no longer in sleep mode, and the quality of sleep suffers. In other words, missing this natural window is like trying to fall asleep against a current. You can still do it, but it takes more effort, and the sleep you get isn't as deep or restorative. This is why so many older adults struggle with falling asleep, staying asleep, and waking up feeling tired, even after a full night in bed. Scientific evidence supporting earlier bedtimes. You might be wondering, is this just anecdotal? Or is there science behind it? In 2021, our clinic partnered with a major university medical research team to conduct a study on sleep timing and quality in adults over 70. We followed a group of seniors for several months and analyzed their bedtimes, melatonin levels, and cognitive performance. What we found was eye-opening. Seniors who went to bed between 9 and 10 p.m. had 45% higher sleep quality scores than those who went to bed later. On memory tests conducted the following morning, early sleepers scored 28% better on average. These individuals also reported less daytime fatigue, fewer mood swings, and a greater sense of well-being overall. This research confirms what we've seen in countless patients. Respecting the body's natural sleep signals isn't just about rest, it's about preserving health, memory, and independence. Mr. Kimura's story is not unique. It's a reflection of a truth that far too many older adults have forgotten, or never been told. The way you sleep can determine the way you live. So if you're in your 70s or beyond and still trying to follow the sleep habits of your younger years, it might be time to pause and reconsider. Maybe it's not your age that's the problem. Maybe it's the clock you're following. Sleep isn't just something that happens when the day ends. It's a powerful medicine, one that your body is still capable of using well, if you let it. And sometimes, all it takes to unlock its healing power is simply going to bed an hour earlier. You've probably heard it 1,000 times, exercise is good for you. And for the most part, you've tried to follow that advice. You take walks around the neighborhood. Maybe you do some light stretching, go to a fitness class for seniors, or enjoy gardening in the backyard. But here's the strange thing. Despite moving more, you still feel tired when you wake up. You go to bed early, you avoid naps in the afternoon, but come morning, it's as if you barely slept at all. You might be wondering, what am I doing wrong? And if you're like many people over 65, you might have found a routine that includes a little evening exercise. Maybe a gentle stroll after dinner, or some light calisthenics to burn off the day. It feels good in the moment. But then bedtime comes, and instead of drifting off peacefully, your body feels too wired to rest. You lie there for an hour, waiting for sleep to come. But it doesn't. And the next day, you're even more tired than the one before. It's frustrating, because it seems like you're doing everything right. But here's a question that may change the way you think about your daily habits. What if it's not the exercise itself that's hurting your sleep, but the timing of it? That may sound surprising, especially since exercise is so often praised as a cure-all for everything from heart health to depression. And it truly is. But when you exercise can be just as important as how you do it, especially when it comes to getting deep, restorative sleep after the age of 65. So let's explore what's really going on. 1. Why the timing of exercise affects your sleep. Your body runs on an internal clock known as the circadian rhythm. This rhythm controls everything from when you feel sleepy or alert, to how your temperature rises and falls, to the release of hormones like melatonin, the one that helps you fall and stay asleep. Now, when you exercise, especially if it's even moderately intense, it stimulates a part of your nervous system called the sympathetic nervous system. Think of this as your body's go mode. It raises your heart rate, increases your core temperature, boosts adrenaline, and prepares you to be physically active and alert. That's a great thing, in the morning or early afternoon. It helps you feel awake, improves your focus, and gets your blood flowing. But if you're exercising in the late evening, or even within 2 to 3 hours of bedtime, that same stimulation becomes a problem. Your body doesn't just cool down immediately after you finish moving. In fact, it takes time, sometimes hours, for your heart rate, temperature, and hormone levels to return to baseline. That means if you go for a walk at 8 p.m., you may still feel wired at 10 p.m., even if you're trying to relax. And as we age, that recovery period becomes even slower. Your body becomes more sensitive to disruption, and any elevation in stress hormones or body temperature can interfere with the natural melatonin cycle your body depends on for restful sleep. So while your evening walk might feel calming in the moment, your internal clock is getting confused. It's receiving mixed signals. Part of your body says, let's rest, while another part is saying, let's go. And in that tug of war, sleep often loses. 2. The solution: move earlier, sleep better. The good news is that this isn't a difficult fix. You don't need to give up exercise. In fact, you shouldn't. You just need to shift it to the right time of day. According to the American Academy of Sleep Medicine and several major sleep studies, the ideal window for physical activity, especially for seniors, is in the morning to early afternoon, between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. Why that window? First, your body naturally starts to become more alert as the sun rises. Exercising during this time helps reinforce your circadian rhythm by telling your brain, it's time to be active. It helps reset your internal clock and prepares your body to wind down properly when evening comes. Second, exercising earlier allows your body plenty of time to cool down, lower its core temperature, and reduce levels of activating hormones like cortisol and adrenaline before bed. By the time you hit the pillow, your body is primed for rest. Third, morning or midday movement boosts your mood and cognitive function for the rest of the day. It can reduce anxiety, lower blood pressure, and improve digestion, all of which contribute to better sleep at night. What kind of exercise works best? It doesn't need to be vigorous. In fact, for many older adults, the best types of movement are walking at a comfortable pace, gentle swimming or water aerobics, Tai Chi or slow yoga, light stretching or resistance bands, chair exercises or standing mobility routines. The goal isn't to push hard. It's to move regularly, consistently, and ideally before the late afternoon. 3. A real story. How one simple shift changed everything. Let me tell you about Evelyn, a retired librarian from Oregon. She's 76 years old and has always been active. 4 years, she ended her day with a light jog around the block or some indoor cycling before watching TV and heading to bed around 10:30 p.m. But over time, Evelyn started to notice something. She was having a harder time falling asleep. She'd wake up more during the night. And even on the nights she stayed in bed for 8 hours, she woke up groggy. Doctors ran tests. Everything looked normal. But then one of them asked her a simple question: "What time are you exercising?" When she said, "Around 8 p.m., he paused. He suggested a small experiment. Move all exercise to 10 a.m. and keep everything else the same. Evelyn was skeptical. After all, she'd always felt that exercising at night helped her burn off steam. But she agreed to try. After just 5 days, Evelyn was falling asleep faster. Within 2 weeks, she wasn't waking up at night anymore. Her mood improved. Her energy during the day surged. It was such a small shift, she told me, but it made a massive difference. I don't even need my afternoon coffee anymore. That's the power of working with your body, not against it. 4. Gentle encouragement. You don't need to overhaul everything. If you've been exercising in the evening, don't feel like you've made a mistake. Most people have no idea how much timing matters, because nobody talks about it. But now that you know, you can take the first step toward better rest. You don't need to join a gym or wake up at dawn. Just try shifting your movement a little earlier. Start with a morning walk around your block. Do some light stretches before breakfast. Put on music and move around while making your coffee. Even a small change, just 20 to 30 minutes of movement before noon, can make a noticeable impact within a week. Remember, this isn't about becoming someone new. It's about becoming more in sync with who you already are and what your body truly needs as it ages. Your body is wise. It gives you signals. All you have to do is listen. 5. A final thought. You still have the power. If you've been struggling with sleep, you're not alone. Millions of older adults wrestle with the same frustration, lying awake at night, feeling betrayed by their own body, wondering why rest no longer comes easily. But what if the answer isn't more pills or more rules? What if it's something as gentle as a walk in the morning sun? You have the power to shift your rhythm, not by force, but with kindness and consistency. The body adapts beautifully when we give it the right cues. So today, ask yourself, what if I moved just a little earlier? You don't have to change everything overnight. Just one step, one morning walk, one stretch, one moment of movement in the daylight can start to rewrite the way your nights feel. Because sleep isn't just about closing your eyes. It's about aligning your days with your biology. And when you do that, rest doesn't have to be a struggle. It becomes natural, nourishing, yours again. You followed all the advice, cut the caffeine, turned off the screens, even moved your bedtime earlier. You've taken your evening walk, dimmed the lights, sipped your chamomile tea. But now it's 11 p.m., and you're still lying in bed, wide awake. Minutes pass. Then an hour. You flip over. You fluff your pillow. You glance at the clock again. If you're over 65, chances are this scene feels all too familiar. That slow, creeping frustration of being tired, but not sleepy. The sinking feeling of knowing the night is slipping away. The harder you try to fall asleep, the more your mind resists. You remember being able to fall asleep easily in your 30s and 40s, and now you wonder what changed, and if it'll ever come naturally again. Most people will tell you, just relax and stay in bed. Sleep will come eventually. But what if that's exactly the problem? What if staying in bed while wide awake is silently training your brain to associate your bed with stress, frustration, and restlessness, rather than rest? 1. Is staying in bed actually making it worse? It may sound strange, but neuroscience shows that trying too hard to sleep can backfire. When you lie awake in bed for long stretches, especially with growing anxiety about not sleeping, your brain starts to associate your bed with wakefulness, not sleep. This is known as conditioned insomnia, and it's far more common than most people realize. It becomes a cycle. You go to bed, can't sleep, start worrying, and the bed itself becomes a trigger for anxiety. Over time, even the thought of going to bed can make your heart race. But here's where science offers a surprising but simple solution. Get out of bed. Not forever. Just temporarily. This is the essence of what sleep experts call the 20-minute rule. 2. Understanding the 20-minute rule. The 20-minute rule is exactly what it sounds like. If you're lying in bed and still awake after 20 minutes, get up. Quietly leave your bed and go into another room, or a different part of your bedroom if needed. Do something calm and non-stimulating. Read a physical book, not on a screen. Listen to soft music, sip warm herbal tea, or knit. Keep the lights low. Don't turn on the TV, and whatever you do, don't look at your phone. The key is to stay in a low arousal state. You're not trying to distract yourself, you're gently waiting for sleepiness to return. Once you feel your eyes getting heavy again, go back to bed and try again. It may sound counterintuitive at first. Why get out of bed when you're trying to fall asleep? But this technique is rooted in behavioral sleep medicine, a clinically tested approach that's helped thousands of older adults break the cycle of insomnia without medication. When you do this consistently, you retrain your brain to associate your bed with falling asleep quickly, not tossing and turning. Over time, your sleep latency, the amount of time it takes you to fall asleep, naturally decreases. 3. The science behind it, made simple. When you lie awake in bed feeling anxious about not sleeping, your body releases stress hormones like cortisol, which keep you alert. Your brain enters a feedback loop. I'm not sleeping. Something's wrong. Try harder. But trying harder only makes it worse. Think of it like this. You wouldn't sit at your dining table for an hour waiting to get hungry, would you? Hunger comes when it comes. Sleep is similar. It can't be forced. The 20-minute rule interrupts that unhelpful loop. By getting out of bed, you physically break the association between your bed and sleeplessness. You shift your mind out of that anxious spiral. You give your body space to reset, gently and naturally. Over time, this builds a healthier sleep association, which is crucial, especially after age 65, when sleep becomes more fragile due to natural changes in brain chemistry and melatonin levels. 4. A true story. Breaking the cycle. Let me introduce you to Henry, a 74-year-old retired school principal from Minnesota. For over a year, he battled with what he called revenge sleep anxiety. He'd go to bed at 10 p.m., exhausted. But the moment he laid his head down, his mind lit up. He'd try to wait it out, thinking sleep would eventually come. But it didn't. Some nights, he stayed in bed tossing and turning until 2 a.m., only to fall asleep from sheer exhaustion. His days were a fog, his patience wore thin, and he began dreading nighttime. Then he learned about the 20-minute rule from a sleep therapist. At first, it felt weird, he told me. I thought I'd be even more tired walking around at night. But he gave it a try. The first week was bumpy. He got out of bed 3 times some nights. But after 2 weeks, something shifted. He began falling asleep within 15 to 20 minutes consistently. He no longer feared bedtime, he looked forward to it. I didn't change what I ate, or take pills, or meditate for hours, Henry said. I just stopped forcing it. That one change brought the rest. 5. How to try it, without pressure. If you're curious about trying the 20-minute rule yourself, here's a gentle step-by-step guide. Notice the clock when you first try to sleep, but only once. Don't keep checking the time. Just get a general sense of when you lay down. If after about 20 minutes you're still wide awake, get out of bed. Move to a dimly lit room or sit in a cozy chair with a soft lamp. Do something relaxing, like reading a book, crocheting, listening to calm music, or sipping warm herbal tea. Avoid screens, phones, or anything that emits blue light or triggers excitement. When your eyes feel heavy or your mind starts to drift, return to bed and try again. If you still can't sleep after another 20 minutes, repeat the process, but don't panic. It's okay. This is temporary. Most importantly, be patient and kind to yourself. This isn't a performance, it's a practice. 6. Words of encouragement. If you've struggled with sleep, you may feel discouraged, even defeated. I want you to know that you're not broken. You're not failing. Your brain is simply following patterns it's learned over time, and with a little guidance, those patterns can change. You deserve to feel safe and at peace in your own bed. You deserve to wake up feeling rested and ready, not foggy and worn out. The 20-minute rule isn't a magic fix. It's not a gimmick or a quick trick, but it's a proven gentle tool that's helped thousands of older adults rediscover the kind of rest they thought was gone forever. Try it. Not perfectly. Not urgently. Just try it with curiosity and kindness. Maybe even tonight. Because sometimes, the path to better sleep doesn't begin with a new supplement or a fancy gadget. It begins with a simple decision to get up and try again when you're truly ready to rest. You still have time. You still have choice. And sleep can still be something beautiful. You might think you're the only one struggling with modern sleep. Tossing and turning at 2 a.m., waking up groggy no matter how early you went to bed, feeling wired late at night even though your body's clearly exhausted. But what if I told you there are places in the world, real, everyday places, where people in their 80s and 90s not only live longer, but sleep better? No pills. No fancy sleep gadgets. Just a way of life that gently flows with the rhythm of the body and nature. One of those places is Okinawa, Japan, often called one of the world's blue zones, where people routinely live past 90 and even 100 in remarkable health. And one of their most overlooked secrets? Their relationship with sleep. Do longer lives begin with earlier nights? Here in the US, many of us grow up with the idea that staying up late is normal, even admirable. I'll sleep when I'm dead, we say. We associate productivity with late-night television, catching up on the news, or finishing one more task before bed. Even in retirement, the habit lingers, watching TV until midnight, scrolling on phones in bed, or simply sitting in the silence, unable to wind down. But in Okinawa, something very different happens. People tend to start winding down as the sun goes down. Their evenings are gentle, predictable, even sacred. By 8:30 or 9 p.m., most are already in bed. And by 4:30 or 5 a.m., they're up, refreshed and ready to move, garden, cook, or stretch quietly in their home. To many Americans, that sounds impossible. Too early, too quiet, too boring. But the question worth asking is, what if our sleep struggles aren't a sign of aging, but a sign that we've lost touch with the natural rhythm our bodies crave? The wisdom behind Okinawa's early evenings. Okinawans don't live longer just because of what they eat or how they move. Their environment, and the way they respect time and rest, plays a major role. Here's what science tells us. Human beings evolved to follow the sunlight cycle. For centuries, our bodies have been wired to wake up with the sunrise and sleep shortly after sunset. That's how our circadian rhythm, or internal clock, was designed. In Okinawa, where technology isn't always the center of life, this rhythm remains largely intact, especially among elders. Without bright artificial lights, late-night screen time, or erratic schedules, their bodies naturally produce melatonin, the sleep hormone, as evening falls. This gives them a critical advantage. They fall asleep faster. They experience deeper, more restorative sleep. They wake up naturally without alarm clocks, often feeling more energized than people half their age. It's not magic. It's not genetics. It's the gentle alignment of lifestyle with biology. A small shift, a big difference. So what can you do, right here in your own home, to follow their lead? You don't need to move to Okinawa or throw out your TV. But you can begin by shifting your evenings slightly earlier, just a little at a time. Here's a simple Okinawa-inspired evening routine you can try. 7 p.m. Dim the lights in your home. Let your body feel the difference between day and night. 7:30 p.m. Turn off bright screens, TVs, phones, tablets. If you do use them, apply a blue light filter or wear blue light glasses. 8 p.m. Do a calming activity. Read a book, sip warm tea, listen to slow music, or reflect on the day with a short journal entry. 8:30 to 9 p.m. Go to bed, even if just to rest or lie still without pressure. Think of it as returning to something your body already knows how to do. Sleep naturally, in rhythm with the world outside your window. A real story. Mrs. Yoshi's Garden Mornings. Let me share with you the story of Yoshi-san, a 95-year-old woman from northern Okinawa. Every evening, by 8 p.m., she's had her dinner, washed the dishes, and begun her wind-down routine. No TV. No phone. Just a cup of warm barley tea and a few pages from an old poetry book. By 8:30 p.m., she's in bed. She doesn't take sleeping pills. She doesn't count sheep. She just sleeps. At 4:30 a.m., she wakes up without an alarm. The first thing she does is stretch. Then she walks outside to her garden, still damp with morning dew. She tends to her vegetables, checks the leaves for pests, and hums a tune while picking fresh herbs for breakfast. When asked why she doesn't sleep in, she simply smiled and said, "The earth wakes up early. I like to wake up with it." That's not just poetic, it's profoundly practical. Her lifestyle is calm, predictable, and deeply tuned to nature's cycles. And science tells us this predictability is key to long-term health, especially for aging brains and bodies. You can start tonight. You don't need to make radical changes. You don't have to rise at 4:30 or fall asleep at 8 o'clock on the dot. But maybe tonight, instead of watching another late-night show, you dim the lights a bit earlier. Maybe you put on some soft music, boil a small pot of herbal tea, and step outside for just 5 minutes of silence. These little choices send powerful signals to your body. It's time to rest. And those signals, repeated night after night, retrain your sleep cycle to work with you, not against you. If you've struggled with falling asleep, staying asleep, or waking up refreshed, maybe it's not your age. Maybe it's the modern pace pulling you away from what your body remembers as natural. But the Okinawan way shows us this. It's never too late to come back to rhythm. Final thought, a slower night for a stronger tomorrow. Your evenings can be more than time to fill before bed. They can be the start of your healing. A chance to return to stillness, to calm, and to a kind of rest that doesn't require pills, gadgets, or struggle. So tonight, give yourself permission to slow down. Let the sun, not the screen, decide when your body should sleep. Breathe deeper. Step softer. Sleep earlier. Because somewhere, on a small island in Japan, an elder just like you is doing the same. And she'll wake tomorrow with energy, clarity, and strength. Not because she did more, but because she did less, with intention. And so can you. At 91 years old, Dr. Murakami still wakes at dawn, sharp-minded and full of energy. He doesn't rely on sleeping pills. He doesn't follow trends. What he does follow, every single night, is a rhythm rooted in nature, in consistency, and in deep respect for the body's signals. His greatest lesson to us is simple. Sleep is not just a pause between days. It's the foundation of how we heal, think, move, and age. And more importantly, it's something we can shape, no matter how old we are. If there's one thing you take away from this video, let it be this. You don't have to overhaul your entire life to sleep better. You just need to make small, kind adjustments. Maybe it's turning off your screen a little earlier. Maybe it's moving your walk to the morning. Or maybe it's as simple as going to bed at 9:30 instead of 11. These little changes, done with care and consistency, create big results. Stronger memory, steadier moods, better mornings, and a deeper sense of peace. So ask yourself, which one change can I start tonight? And if this message spoke to you, leave a comment below. Tell us which tip you're excited to try, or share your own sleep story. You never know who it might inspire. Don't forget to like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe for more simple, science-based guidance for a stronger, more peaceful life after 65. Because it's never too late to rest well and rise stronger.